Hey guys, Brandon here with GGG, and I'm finally calming down from having beat Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Hands down, this is probably the scariest game I've ever played, so I just wanted to talk about my experience with it. It's the big day! Resident Evil 6 comes out tonight. Wait, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard comes out today. I'm going to GameStop right now. Knowing how most PS4 and disc games are, I'll be lucky if I just get the game preloaded tonight and then can play tomorrow. What's crazy is we have gotten so much rain over the past 2 weeks. It's kind of this creepy, wet, cold night, and it's been building up to this game getting released, and I'm pretty pumped to play it. So I picked up Resident Evil 7 on launch day along with 2.5 million other people that bought this game on launch week. This game sold really well and has a ton of people talking. I know some people that have beat it like 6 times already. So Resident Evil is still the premier horror franchise in gaming, even though it kind of lost its horror element in 6 and 7, which were more action-oriented games. But the horror is back, and it's back in a huge way, because Resident Evil 7 is VR capable.
Holy
I wasn't sure how much of this game I was going to play in VR, because I just didn't know if my senses could handle it. But I toughed through it and actually played basically the entire game in VR, except for like an hour near the beginning. The key for me to surviving in VR wasn't necessarily the scares, it was if I could avoid motion sickness and handle wearing the headset for long play sessions. There's this brilliant setting in Resident Evil 7 that moves the camera in 30-degree increments when you want to turn with the joystick. And when I first started the game, I refused to use the 30-degree setting and opted for fluid movement. This was a big mistake. Like many others, the fluid movement setting gave me a ton of motion sickness. So after I nearly hurled in my living room, I tried the 30-degree movement setting and it worked perfectly. I don't know how it works, but I had no motion sickness and was able to play in pretty good 2 to 3 hour chunks. So once I conquered the initial motion sickness, I can without a doubt say that playing in VR is the best way to experience Resident Evil 7.
I told you to stay out of here!
I'm not taking anything away from the game as a normal title, it still plays really well in first person, but the experience you get in VR is so much more immersive and horrifying. The sound design in Resident Evil 7 routinely sent chills down my arm. I was playing this game in an empty apartment. Courtney was in Florida for a work trip, so it was just me, and I'm listening so intently to every little noise in the game, and I'd hear the apartment creak and freak out. It was incredible. I was really impressed at how the noise level even changes leaving one room into another. Check this out. You can literally hear the ambience of the room change, and it's those subtle moments that are amplified in VR. I had to kind of laugh at myself playing a couple times in VR because there were times I'd come around a corner or be walking down a hallway and I'd just freeze because I'd hear something. Sometimes I'd spin around and make sure nothing's following me. The game literally makes you feel paranoid. I love the element of the old lady being randomly in rooms throughout the Baker house, and then you find out at the end she was the little girl Evelyn the whole time. So damn cool. In a weird way, you feel like you have more control playing in VR. Being able to lean and look around a corner or through a doorway was extremely handy, and it's something you can only do by leaning your head in VR. This added feature makes corners feel real, and you feel like you're confined to the house, and not just in your living room. And I love that immersion. The other huge benefit is aiming. You're aiming with your head and not the joystick. So I found myself picking off some headshots that I probably normally wouldn't have been able to make. It doesn't really make the game easier, but it makes it more natural feeling. I have to tip my cap to Capcom and the development of this game for changing up Resident Evil and bringing it back to the survival horror roots. This is the first-person Resident Evil game, but the hallmarks of Resident Evil are all still there. There's crazy keys, item management, insane bosses, puzzles. More than any other horror game, I feel like Resident Evil 7 captures so many different phobias and fears that people have, At some point during playing this game, there will be something that creeps you out. It just tackles so many different fears. There's giant bugs and stinging insects. There's parts where you have to squeeze through small spaces and it's claustrophobic. Plus, centipedes. Ugh, I really hate those things.
Fuck!
There's some really effective jump scares. If you're afraid of creepy dolls or altars, that's in there. There's plenty of creepy drawings and artwork, and of course, a creepy little kid.
Stop it, Evelyn!
There's creatures called the Molded, and your girlfriend is possessed. If you're afraid of being stuck in an elevator, that's in here. There's hallucinations where things are running straight at you and it's freaking intense. On top of all that, I love the really subtle creepy moments. You'll be walking down a hallway and just hear something that just makes you freeze and freaks you out. There really is a broad scope of scares, and it keeps you nervous and keeps the mood really scary. Out of all the elements I encountered, there was one moment that stands out that I ended up laughing at because Courtney's sister Quinn, who has been in some previous GGG videos, is deathly afraid of balloons. Of course, there's a part in Resident Evil 7 where you open the door and the room is full of balloons. They thought of everything. The balloons moment actually comes at my favorite part of the game, where you're trapped in this creepy series of bedrooms and have to gather supplies, and you're really solving one giant puzzle to escape. So it kind of plays out like a virtual escape room, and I love the experience of figuring out this puzzle with all these different items. Shortly before that moment, you actually watch a VHS tape of a character who dies in the escape room, so by the time you play it out as Ethan, you have to figure out a different way of using the items you've gathered, and it's really satisfying. The VHS tapes are such a cool part of this game because they're playable. Your character will literally find a VHS, pop it into a TV, and it goes into this little aside story where you're actually playing as the character in the VHS. I love that feature, and it allows for some nice backstory while giving you a little bit of different settings. Resident Evil 7 was a blast to play through and is easily the most intense survival horror game I've ever played. I really hope we get more full-length VR games that are survival horror because the technology just really shines. I'd love to see them make The Evil Within 2 and have it be VR playable, so we'll see what comes next. Thanks so much for watching Ghouls, Guts, and Gore. Comment and tell me, what was your favorite part of Resident Evil 7? What freaked you out the most? Did you play it in VR? Or what's your favorite Resident Evil game, or just moment in general? It's one of my favorite video game series, and I can't wait to play the DLC that comes out. There already is one out on PS4 that I need to download, and we'll see where it takes us. So click subscribe, don't miss any of our future videos, and stay horrible, everyone.